Happy Sunday! Welcome to season 2 of Let's Talk About You. I am your host, Camela Francis, and it's always an honor and a privilege to have you join me on your Sunday afternoons. It is Movember, and yes, I said it, Movember. What is Movember, you ask? It is Men's Health Awareness Month. This month, in addition to being thankful for every single are giving tribute to our men. Why? We need our men to take great care of themselves, and Movember is also known as Men's Health Awareness Month. When did Men Movember start? It started in 2003 by two Australians. These men, Travis Grown and Luke Slattery, decided that they're going to assist women and paying tribute to them for breast health awareness month, which is October. And they had their mustaches instead of their pink ribbons. And then they decided, let's keep this going for the month of November. And now men, in honor of giving tribute to themselves, decided to grow beards. So when you see the stars and the actors and the actresses giving tribute to men that are growing out their hair, it's all in collaboration for Movember, Men's Health Awareness Month. For more information on it, go to Movember.com. I have two great, amazing guests from right here in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands to talk about men and their health and the importance of taking care of their health. We have Dr. Gilbert Comissiong. Dr. Comissiong is a surgeon here in St. Thomas with over 24 years of experience. And we have entrepreneur Renix Charles. He's going to talk about issues that he sustained and the importance of getting your checkup. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Let's Talk About You. Dr. Comissiong, we're going to start with you. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you.
Hi, good evening, Camela. I'm Dr. Gilbert Comissiong. I'm a surgeon here in St. Thomas. I've been home here since 2002. Completed my residency then. 5 years prior, I did my residency training. So actually, since 1997, I've been practicing surgery. Long story short, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I appreciate you calling me for this. And I'm hoping that by the end of this evening, I'll be able to impart at least a little bit of knowledge to our listening audience. And by and far, hopefully, give them a little more knowledge, yes, and a little more energy, strength to move forward to make that step to taking care of themselves.
Great. I was doing some research and it said men are 6 times expected to pass before women. Is that just me reading or is that statistic true?
Well, they may be 6 times higher, maybe a little elevated, but I can definitely tell you that as a general rule that I have seen in my practice, men are not the best as far as taking care of themselves. And men, I hate to say it because I'm a male myself, but we are not doing a good job. So when I see men come alone to the office, many times they come in because they've been strongly prompted by their mates, by their significant others, whether it be married or not, or a family member pushes them, basically forces them to come into the office for whatever healthcare reason that it is. And we need to do a better job, guys. We really do. So by and far, our women do a much better job taking care of themselves, making sure they do what they're supposed to do health wise. And our men, we're definitely lagging behind. And therefore, playing into that statistic, why men are much more likely to develop certain medical problems and have a shorter lifespan than women.
Well, we need our men and we need them to do whatever it takes, and we, the significant others, the daughters, the sisters, the wives, girlfriends, will do whatever it takes so we can assist in our health, because I think men sustain so many things, including the stigma because of employment or lack thereof, and the fact that they're just that, men, and there's employment, there's health, there's a list of things that we put stigma when it comes to our men. And men always say they get the bad end and the stick because of. But in this month of November, we're going to do whatever it takes. And this is one of the reasons why I have you here, to assist with bringing awareness and whatever we can do to help our men do their part. We're going to get back to you in a second, Dr. Comissiong, but I want to our second guest, Renix, to introduce himself and tell the listening audience more about him. And then we're going to have a general conversation, the three of us, as to the importance of men's health. Renix?
Hi, good night, Camela. Thank you for
Hi.
having me tonight. I'm Renix Charles, the owner of the Best Messenger Service and Bonded Process Service. I've been in business in the Virgin Islands for 31 years until this disaster, I call it, or nightmare, struck me in August.
Mm, your nightmare that struck you in August. Hmm. Well,
Yes.
well, tell us about that nightmare, Renix. What exactly happened to you in August?
Well, what happened was it kind of crept up on me slowly. I would be looking to leave to go to work sometimes, and I would see like everything looking like hazy, like it's wanna rain or the Sahara dust or something. And I would ask someone, is it hazy? And they would tell me, no, it's not hazy. So then I realized it was my eyes. It got worse and worse little by little until one day everything just hit rock bottom. I went to see Dr. Les, and he gave me some prescription, and I started on the prescription, and then next thing you look, I started feeling I didn't want to be on them in the first place, and then when I started taking them, I started feeling myself feeling like a zombie. You know, I would be like dizzy, tripping up on my own feet, off balance. So one day I said, you know what? When these medication done, I'm not taking any more of this medication.
And
So I went.
did you take the medication prior to August, or this was during your August setback?
No, this started in March when I started getting the seeing like the hazy kind of, seeing out my eyes, everything looking like haze or something. I couldn't see crystal clear, and that went on for a little while until my good friend Sandy Dunsing from Dunsing Law Firm, she encouraged me to go to get a checkup. She and a few other people, my sisters, my girlfriend Natalie, and they were singing it like a song, but I never liked doctors, I never liked hospital. And now doctors, hospital, and all that are my best friends today. So what happened was I went to Dr. Les and he gave me the prescription. I stopped taking the prescription when it was finished. I was supposed to go back to refill it and get some lab work done. And I said, man, I ain't going no place. I done with that. And I went back to eating and drinking whatever I felt like. And then everything just came to a halt in August. I had pancakes with syrup couple days on during the week. I had sweet drinks, orange juice and stuff. I had chicken from that sweet chicken from Tap and Still that tastes so yummy. I had Tap and Still chicken wings that was so good with the milkshake and stuff. I had ice cream, and that was over the weekend. So by the Tuesday morning, when I was getting ready to go to work, I realized that I can't see nothing. Everything looks gray. But I still said, I'm going to do what I have to do. So I took off, went doing what I had to do, And then when I got on Skyline Road, I realized that this may not work because I could not see anything. So I pulled over the side of the road to see if I could catch myself. And then when I caught myself, I said, man, I'm going to do what I got to do.
So you
So I
went back
went,
to work, even though
I,
you know you couldn't see, you went back to work?
well, you see, being that I know the road for these roads are my home for 31 years, I've been driving on these roads. So I figured I could drive on these roads blind, which is exactly what I did.
So you were driving by faith and not by sight.
Jesus Christ, the Lord, was driving. He was the
Listen, I don't
pilot.
think that's
I
what the
was the
Bible meant.
co-pilot.
That is not what the Bible meant by acting by faith and not by
Well,
sight.
well, that went on for like 2 days. 2 days. I did that for 2 days. And when I told my good friend Sandy Dunsing and you, also, I don't know if you remember that day I was at your office and you offered to drive me home, and I tell you, home.
I
And I
remember.
took off, and you make big noise with me because you wanted to come pick me up wherever I was. You and a couple other people, Sandy, and a couple other good friends of mine, some nurses from the hospital, and I just decided I'm going home. And I went home, and then I went to see the doctor the next day, and that's when everything come crashing on me. But thanks to the good works of many of our doctors here on island, I have so many people to thank. It's just the list is so long, but I'll
So
thank them at the end of this. At the
yeah, you
end of
could.
the interview, I'm going to thank everybody because it's a few people, including yourself.
Well, Renix, you know that you're my heart, and it was scary to hear that you are driving on the road and not feeling yourself, and the fact that we need our eyes to drive, and you were driving by faith. That was scary because you could have been endangered yourself and someone else. So I'm glad that you've been doing driving for all these years and you know the road, but that was way too risky. But I'm glad that you're here to tell us about your testimony and let us know the importance about going to these doctors, even though you're afraid. Dr. Comissiong, I'm going to have you come back on the conversation to talk about not only men being afraid about going to the doctor, but the importance and us living in the Virgin Islands. What are things that we're more prone to see when it comes to our men health? Most and your visits.
Well, as a surgeon, I don't see a lot of the issues that may affect our males generally because as a specialist, but I can tell you these males still have many of the medical problems that affect the general population as a whole. So to break them down, we see a lot of hypertension or high blood pressure. We see diabetes, and I think those two are probably the big two when it comes down to the long-term diseases that we see, such as heart disease, kidney disease. We see plenty of patients here for the size of our population on dialysis, okay, as a result of having long time, uncontrolled high blood pressure and diabetes. We also have individuals who we see having strokes, having heart attacks, okay? Again, high blood pressure, diabetes playing a significant component, as well as having high blood lipids or cholesterol and whatnot. Okay, that can also play into that.
So you're saying
So,
that there's a sequence to the thing. It starts with one and it trickles down like a chain reaction.
yes, so basically, when you see someone presents with kidney failure as a result of having high blood pressure or diabetes, this is not something that happened yesterday. Okay, this is not something that happened a year or two. This is long time untreated, uncontrolled medical problems that we see. Okay, same thing with diabetes, same thing with cholesterol problems. So, what can we do? As a general rule, we all should have a primary care doctor. We all should be visiting a doctor. Okay. We did it from the time we were children when we went in and we saw a pediatrician. Okay. Sometimes you came out with a lollipop, a balloon. Sometimes you came out with a band-aid on your arm because you had to get a shot. That was not the not so good time. But we were seeing our doctors from the time we were little children. And so this should also continue on into adulthood. Okay, I think some individuals feel that, okay, now I've become an adult, I no longer need to see a doctor on a regular basis. And I think we're even more so wrong from that perspective because many of these disease processes start in adulthood and not as much so when we were children. Okay, so seeing a primary care doctor, we need to start off with that. And your primary care doctor basically has you on a schedule to do certain things. Okay, so once a year, generally speaking, if you're a well individual, typically once a year you go and you check in, you get your, men would get their prostate exam done, which I can tell you, if if I get a prostate exam for a man, he would say I would do it 10 times over if it was just the blood test. But guess what? A prostate exam has two components to it. One is the blood test, yes, and the other one is actually called a digital rectal exam, where actually goes and examines the prostate through the rectum. Okay, that is one of the biggest fears of men. It doesn't make you any less of a man, and many a times it picks up on prostate cancer that it can be treated earlier on, okay, as opposed to waiting. Very important. Okay, the doctor has you on a schedule where you check your prostate, you check your cholesterol, you check your blood pressure, you check for diabetes, you check your cholesterol, okay? And also, rarely, men can also get breast cancer. So, this is something that we need to be aware of. Yes, the majority of times when we have breast cancer, we're talking about women. However, males can also get breast cancer. Okay, so we just need to be very in tune with our bodies, number one, and we need to have a relationship with a physician who can guide us through the different steps we need to do to take care of ourselves appropriately.
That is true. We definitely need to build that relationship, and especially since we're in a small, close knit community, I know that could be an asset, and it also could be the go the other way because it's so small. We don't want everyone to know what's going on with us, even though we do need to know what's going on with us.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing is half the battle, but I think pride, because you were talking about it doesn't make you less of a man to have the digital exam to check your prostate because it's uncomfortable for a man to bend over generally because it's not all the time a man doing the exam, but it makes a difference. If it can save your life, why not? Right?
Yes, ma'am. Much agreed.
And in addition to high blood pressure, and you were talking about the high blood pressure can lead to one thing after the next. What else? What are some of the things that, like a train reaction, not generally straight across the board, but some of the things that can start with just not getting your pressure under control?
Correct. Okay, so for example, you can go with many years uncontrolled blood pressure, okay? And that's why hypertension is referred to as the silent killer, okay? Because you don't have any symptoms, you feel just fine, you think everything is peachy, but it comes sometimes at one point when you start to have end organ damage, meaning the blood pressure has been elevated so long that it starts to cause damage to the blood vessels, okay? And as a result of damaging those blood vessels, you end up with a hardening, or thickening of those blood vessels that starts to decrease the blood flow to certain organs. So, as a result of it, you can end up with kidney problems. Okay. You certainly can also end up with heart problems because blood pressure has been elevated so long. Your heart is now pumping against this high pressure, and basically the heart muscle, just like any muscle in the body, when you exercise it really hard, it becomes hypertrophied or enlarged, and you end up with an enlarged heart. Okay, so these are all things potentially that can end up because of high blood pressure. The blood vessels that go to the brain, same effect. They can become a little more fragile. They can be at risk for rupturing and having a stroke. Okay, or becoming occluded and narrowed and ending up with a stroke because of lack of blood flow. So again, there are multiple different things that can happen. However, these things typically don't develop overnight. These
But if you
are
have
long-term, untreated, uncontrolled blood
high
pressure.
blood pressure.
Yes, ma'am.
And Renix, I'm going to add you to this conversation because when you talked about the doctor told you certain things happened, what did the doctor tell you that your diagnosis was, if you don't mind sharing? Was it your pressure that it started with? Was that elevated?
Well, what happened was me not taking the medication, everything just went out of whack. The blood pressure went sky high, and so did the sugar. And then he
Okay.
asked me if I know that I have if I know I'm diabetic. I said diabetic. I said no, no one ever diagnosed me as diabetic. He said you should have been in here a long time ago because right now your pressure is so high. I don't know how you standing up here because you should have had a stroke because your pressure is sky high. And
And that's
I didn't really take him on until when I went the next time. That's when things really was bad. So taking care of your body and listening to what your physician advised, going and getting that checkup is very, very important because even if I had went back to get the lab work that they recommended for me and just go back to get the second visit I was supposed to get, I would not be in this situation today at all. Because right now I can't see out of my left eye because of the sugar, the diabetic retinopathy, I think that's what they call it. And in this eye, thanks to the good work of Dr. Rosen and Dr. Stewart at Pleasant Ophthalmology, I'm able to see a little bit out of this eye. So believe me, getting that checkup on a regular basis is very, very important. I would not be in this situation if I was getting that regular checkup like I was supposed to and going back to get my lab work and going back to when the doctor tell me to come back. All of that add up to what I'm dealing with today. And I would advise everyone to ease off of, we in the Caribbean, we like our spicy foods.
well,
And
like the
that's
governor
one,
said, we like to slux down.
he is correct. He's correct.
Yes, he
You
is.
know,
Yes, he
we
is.
like our spicy food and we like our sweet drinks like sorrel and tarmon stew and all those drinks there that we get, just throughout the year that we love to enjoy. Our local drinks, sour sop, sugar apple drinks, mango juice, all those things there, you gotta really enjoy them in moderation because it could really have a serious effect on us later down the line. You want to know how you get that? All those things I just mentioned, they full of sugar in the tamarind drink like crazy. Tamarind is a sour drink. It's not a sour fruit. It's not a sweet fruit. So you gotta put a lot of sugar in that to make the drink pleasant to drink. you know our fish, we like our fish fry. We love our fried fish.
True.
Right now, I can't eat anything fried at all. I miss it very much.
I'm sure you
We
do.
like our yeah, we like our seasoned food. It gotta have a lot of seasoning in it. Otherwise, it to us is not good. Right now, I can't eat any food with any seasoning whatsoever. It gotta be like lean meat, fish with salad, vegetables only, nothing else.
Well, like Doc said, it can start because you're saying that your pressure was high and now it escalated. So, Doc, I know that you're a surgeon, but based on cases that you've seen in everything that you've done, and with Rennick's specific case, do you want to add to this to bring
Well,
awareness?
I can tell you that Renix has given us thus far an excellent testimony. Patients always hear, okay, the doctor is going to speak. We know that there's going to be some lecture on something. And by the time I say the first 10 words, it's almost like they sign out because they're hearing the same thing over and over again. So I think that Renix actually is bringing in some strong points that we always talk about, about going to see the doctor. I see many points. First of all, going to see the doctor and having a relationship with a doctor and seeing them regularly. That's one thing that he indicated to us that he needed to do. Continue with the medications that his doctor prescribed. He said he took the one set of medications and they were done, and he was like, I feel all right, I ain't gonna take these here again. Okay, and potentially, if he continue with that prescription, then we potentially could have avoided, what happened to him back in August, from when he had stopped them, when he had seen his doc and his prescription ran out from when he had seen him in March. Okay, and then subsequent to that, I don't know how in the world he was able to drive his car for 2 days
Without
without
being able to
clear
see.
vision, so
Yeah, that's definitely driving by faith. But
yep.
let me ask you this, because I know for me, I don't like medication. I don't think anyone likes medication. I don't mind taking a supplement, and now because I'm getting younger, I'm trying to be better with taking my supplements because I understand as we enhance,
Well put.
we need whatever it takes to assist us in our enhancement in life.
Hmm.
So, and we know that with anything, even supplements can cause side effects. So I know Renix is on here, but I think I could hear him say, or me say, okay, it's done. I don't want it to cause any more whatever. I'm sure it'll fix whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that may be an issue not only for men, but for anybody, right?
Correct, and I agree wholeheartedly. There are a couple of things we need to look at here. So let's start talking about medications. There are some blood pressure medications, and in males, um, it can definitely cause some erectile dysfunction. Okay, with some blood pressure medications. So if your physician does put you on a medication and you have that side effect, then sometimes a lower dose may work. Sometimes switching the medication would work, but not taking the medication at all, despite having high blood pressure, you are setting yourself up for a potential catastrophe. So that's where the communication comes in. If you take it the 1 month or whatnot, and you go back and say, "Hey, doc, look, the medication, my blood pressure was better, but something was way worse." So you have that discussion with your physician, and that medication can be switched around so that you can have the best of both worlds. Blood pressure is controlled and still no erectile issues. Okay, so
Because I was going to say for
definitely,
men, I think that's a big deal. They want to be
absolutely,
able to make sure that they can, perform.
yes,
And
ma'am.
even though it'll be in their best interest to live a long life without being able to,
Yes, yes, agreed. I agree with you. Okay, there's one other thing that I'd like to indicate. Whenever we look at a commercial for a drug company nowadays, they talk about the drug and its wonderful effects as far as how it's going to be helpful for you for about 30 seconds. And the next 30 seconds are
Or
pretty,
2 minutes,
pretty
they,
much
they talk about
listing
all the side
every
effects.
side effect of that drug. Okay. And this is actually the drug company's way of covering their, you know what? Okay.
Hmm.
They want to make sure they're not liable because you're not gonna tell them it would have caused this. No, 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 don't, no. We said it can cause A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Now, the likelihood that you are going to experience any side effects could be small, and if you do, they're usually very minor. And you sure as heck are not going to experience the shopping list of side effects that the drug company listed. So that list of side effects is just to cover the drug companies, make them less liable, okay, release their liability. But the reality is the chance that you're gonna have all of those side effects are zero, and any side effects, there's just one small chance that you will. Okay, and if you do have them, again, having a relationship with your doctor, you need to communicate with them and indicate what's going on because they may be able to change the dose, they may be able to get you on another medication and still treat the underlying issue that you do have.
Well, that's good to know that there are options because it's not just that's it, and it's either you take this medication and you have ED, or and that's it. You have options, and
Correct.
and men need to know that. And I know that just like how you said that there are commercials, I know that there are PSAs talking about um, persons going to the doctor, but sometimes it's not enough. It's not enough because men still don't like to go to the doctor, and
I,
we
I
we need to
completely
fix
agree.
that. So for me now, and I know Renix, you have come such a long way, and your testimony is phenomenal, and this will definitely be a great PSA for persons to go check their health, pay attention to their bodies, because you weren't paying attention. You know that your sight was hazy, but you figured it was the Sahara dust, and then anything else.
Yes, and then another thing was I was not feeling I wasn't feeling properly because I was just feeling this weird type of feeling like I wasn't in my body. And then like in the night I couldn't get to sleep in the night, and I kept telling Natalie something is not right. Something is not right. So in with the stuff with my eyes, the diabetic retinopathy, and the blood pressure being sky high, but it was able to get controlled with from the medication. But within all of that, I also got a double whammy on top of all of that. What happened was I was diagnosed with myelodysplastic. I think that's what they call it when your bone marrow is not making any more blood, and I was diagnosed with that at the same time with all this thing with my eyes, the blood pressure, the diabetic, and I ended up in the hospital. And that's when everything really come to light, and I said I'm definitely have to stay on the right track with the medication and everything because I had to get a what they call it
A blood transfusion.
correct. I have to get the blood transfusion, and it seemed like every couple months I'm gonna have to get that for the rest of my life. Thanks to Dr. Bush Bashan. He's the one that keep that in check for me. So every couple of weeks I gotta go to have my visit with Dr. Bashan so he could check the blood count. When I
Hmm.
went the first time when it was diagnosed with the same time with the eyes, the blood pressure and everything, the doctor told me, "Boy, how are you still alive? Do you
God.
know you don't have no blood in your body?" I said, "What are you talking about, doc?" He said, "Boy, you don't have no blood in your body. Your blood count is a 2. You need to go to the hospital immediately." Boy, when he told me that, right? I don't like hospitals. I don't like doctor. I don't like none of that stuff. I told him, please, 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 anything you can do for me. Give me some pills. whatever it is, because I don't want to go to the hospital. He said, you don't have a choice. You have to go to the hospital. So that was one day, and then a couple days after that, he called and he said, boy, you need to go to the hospital right now, because he got some kind of reading from my blood test that I took when I went. You see, now that's the importance of getting your lab work done, because if that wasn't done, I would have still been wondering, why am I stumbling and fumbling and not feeling right? I was like a zombie. I couldn't really walk. I'm just actually starting to walk again. I had to get one of my favorite people got me a cane, because I just could not keep my balance. I was off balance. So only now I'm able to like show off and try to walk without the cane. Sometimes I have a lot of steps. I got 45 steps, so I get a little exercise going up and down the steps. So right now I could kind of like go up and down the steps without the cane. But that
Great.
medication, staying on, yes, thank you. A lot of prayers, all my prayer warriors, I want to say thank you to them, because a lot of people came out and prayed with me, called me on the phone. Some days I got two phones to my head, you know? People just reaching out to just check to see how I'm doing, because
Because
this
you're
thing is no
lovable.
joke. Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they all say. I've been a process server here for 31 years, and I'm not your normal type of rah, 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 grumbling to people type of process server. When I would go to people, before I leave them, they would end up giving me a big hug. They want me to come back to their house. They want me to come back to their store. They want to give me everything in the store. They want to give me everything in their restaurant, if they have a restaurant. They said, you know what? Just because of how you dealt with us, you made a difference. You gave us hope. You gave us good advice. I never gave someone a document and just turned my back and tell them goodbye.
You try to
You would
make them
always.
feel better, right?
I always gave hope and good advice. And they told me I'm the only one that ever did anything for them. Sometimes these people, I forget who they are, and they just call me out of the clear blue, telling me, they heard what happened to me, and they just call to check on me, or they call to pray, or they call to bring contribution and stuff like that. And the community has been really great to me, man.
That's
But
good.
that's why you gotta be nice to people, because you never know what's laying down the road for you down the line. You know?
I agree. Dr. Comissiong, let's talk a little bit about exercise because I'm trying to get my enhancement on because, as I said, we're getting younger. So I do a little 10-minute a day something. Is that enough?
Well, in order to get good cardio in, which means you want to work your heart, you want to have a good, sustained, elevated heart rate. That is what builds up your endurance. That is what builds up your heart. You probably want to push at least a half an hour to 45 minutes, and you want to do that at least 4 times a week if you can do so. Okay, so 10 minutes, you might have to add 30 minutes to that 10 minutes to
But
really
even though
have
I
that
get a heart rate
benefit.
in that 10 minutes, even though it picks up.
You do, but it's up and then it's gone. Okay, you want to go through a period where you actually build up to it. So let's envision that you're walking. Okay, you want to go for a nice brisk walk. You don't want to go for a Sunday walk like you're strolling in the park. Okay, you want to put on some good sneakers and you want to be able to really push it where you can extend those arms and those legs and you're really striding and walking. That's the kind of walking you want to do, not necessarily a nice walk like you don't have anywhere to go. You have to walk like you're on a mission. Okay, and not everyone may have the ability to run or to jog. Some people, if you don't mind not having a scenery, you can do it on a treadmill or stationary bike. Okay, Peloton's a really big thing. Not everybody's got one, but there are different exercise programs that you have that you may either see online or on a TV. And if you realize all of those programs, unfortunately, I'm not sure many of them are 10 minutes long. So
Okay.
we're gonna have We're gonna have to up that time a little more than 10 minutes, my baby.
I think I've been walking wrong as well because even though I do go for a walk sometimes, I know this is about the men, and I'm bringing it in because I know that I'm not the only one that's guilty. Some man out there is guilty of doing 10 minutes or less, and when we walk, we just walk. We don't always be brisk with it. So I have to work with it on it. Men have to work on it, and I know Renix, you were talking about exercise. What do you do for exercise now, Renix?
Well, I have a good sized yard, so what I do is I make sure in the afternoons when the sun go down, I go out in the yard, and I do some walking around the yard, and I got 45 steps, so I go up and down the steps, a couple of times, at least a day, to try to get that little exercise in. I don't
And
really,
how
I
long do
haven't,
you exercise for?
um, sometimes I'm out in the yard for maybe an hour because right now it's getting dark real quick. So before I even start, next thing you look, it's dark outside, and since I got this diagnosis, I noticed that I can't in the night in the dark, I'm kind of like off balance for some reason. Once it start getting dark without light, I get like off balance. I don't
Yeah,
know if
because
that's because of the eye and got me off balance or the myelodysplastic. I don't know yet. I gotta ask my physician when I go back.
see, and that's the next important thing, right, Doc? When you're going to the doctor, just like you said, Renix, you experiencing something, so you make note of it. And when you go to the doctor, I think that we should always be prepared, take notes, or have our significant other take notes, or pay attention to um, things that's going on or not going on, so we could know that we have a checklist to ask the doctor.
Yes, that's very important to ask the physician, ask your physician. You and your physician should be like buddies, you're supposed to be able to talk to your physician about anything, ask any questions and stuff like that. You don't feel bad, don't be shame of it because we all human, we are all
Yep.
human. We go through the same stuff, men and women alike.
True. Doctor, do you want to give us some pointers in being comfortable, a patient being comfortable to have a conversation with their doctors? Because even though it sounds good, and yes, we should be comfortable because you're the person that will assist us with our longevity and our enhancement, but it's not always easy. Because I know some people have white coat syndrome. The fact that they go to the doctor, they freak out, they forget what they have to ask, their pressure goes up. Do you have some advice for us?
Yes, ma'am. So, it's natural that when you go into your physician's office, at least at some level, especially initially when you're meeting them for the first time, establishing that relationship, that you are going to have what we call quote unquote white coat hypertension. So your blood pressure before you left home, you may have checked it and it might be 110 over 70, 120 over 80, which is a good blood pressure. You get to the doctor's office, you sit down in the chair, all of a sudden the blood pressure may be 150 to 160 for the top number, pushing close to 90 for the bottom number. And of course, the doctor's like, okay, what's going on? And you're like, no, I checked my pressure this morning. I swear it was this low pressure. So what do we do? First thing, understanding that that is a phenomenon that's very tough. We go ahead, we sit them down, we get into the rest of the exam, we speak to the patient. Once you have established and have a good relationship with your patient, I feel that that patient should be able to open up to you. They should be able to have a conversation with you. You know, many of my patients, we sit down and of course we gotta talk business when we start out. But at the end of the doctor's visit, man, we talking about all kinds of stuff. And I learn a heck of a lot from my patients too. Not that they learn from me. I look forward to having a conversation because I'm learning something at the end of the day. So that is a relationship that we have to establish with our docs. You have to be comfortable because in becoming comfortable, you can now discuss anything with your physician. Okay. There's another thing that we need to understand, that visit with the doc may not just be once a year. If you have hypertension, diabetes, or you have an underlying condition that needs to be monitored, they may need to see you back every 3 to 4 months. They may need to see you every 6 months, twice a year. So it just really depends on what is going on that would determine how often your visit would be. Okay, so that's very important to know. But at the end of the day, it's important to have that established relationship, and you're talking two individuals. So two individuals may not be able to hit it off all the time. So if you realize that you have a relationship that there's no communication, or you feel you can't talk to your doctor and you give it a try for a couple of times, then it may not be that that doctor is the right one for you. But
True.
that doesn't mean that you now don't go to the doctor because you don't have that relationship. You can look for another physician, or you may try a little different approach with that doctor, just like you would have a conversation and approach it in a different way with an individuals. At the end of the day, we're all human, okay?
True.
And so things
And,
don't always work out perfectly.
and I like that, but I know one of the things, though, as you said, we have options. Some of our options are limited because we don't have that wide array of specialists because we live in these beautiful islands. So we don't always necessarily have that option. But you're right. We have to renew our minds and take a different approach if the first approach doesn't work after our several visits. So be open. So you're right. I truly appreciate that. And let's go a little further and talk about, as we take our approaches, the mental health of men. And I know that men are the providers or the protectors, or that's what the stigma and the title that we give them. But after some more of my research, men, the suicide rate for men is extremely high.
So again, this is something that statistically, yes, we need to look at. Men in general, I think we're programmed from the time we're just being able to walk, and as soon as we start to distinguish boys from girls, there are certain things that boys do and girls do. And as you get older and you go into manhood and womanhood, men are programmed to be the providers. They're programmed to be the tough ones. And that's probably the reason why it's probably hurting us in going to see the doctor, because we're tough and we're macho. We don't have to go. Okay. And as far as mental health is concerned, you know, women tend to open up more. This and that is bothering me, and if something is on their mind and bothering them, we get the whole conundrum. We hear everything that's bothering. Okay, and most of the times, men, we button up and we don't say anything, and it could be bothering us maximally inside, and it's not till the pressure cooker reach a certain point that all of a sudden it now explodes, and that's when people find out that we had a problem. Okay, and so again, it may be a cultural thing somewhat. It may be more of a Y chromosome thing with us men, but we tend to keep things inside a lot more, and mental health wise it's not good for us. So there's a again, in communication with your primary care doc, if there's a reason or if there's something that is bothering you as a male, then having a relationship, it may not necessarily be with your primary care doctor. Some folks may have a psychologist that they speak to, and they may be able to make that phone call and say, hey, there's something bothering me. There's something on my mind. There's a new layer of stress. Through many insurance companies plans, they may have coverage where you have what we call IEP, where they can go and they can speak to if they have stress or whatnot. Um, um, or EAP, I'm sorry, not IEP, EAP,
Okay.
where they can go ahead and they can speak to a psychologist and whatnot if something's bothering them. They can do work, they can get in touch with the right medical providers and whatnot. So, as far as stress is concerned, we definitely, as men, keep it bottled up inside a lot more than our female counterparts, and it definitely plays into not only mental anguish and mental breakdown, suicide, and other high level medical issues, but it plays in also to diabetes, because stress causes blood sugars to go up, high blood pressure, okay? Stress causes some people to binge eat, so all of a sudden now they're eating the wrong foods where the blood pressure and the blood sugars are up. So all those things are interrelated. We have some people who binge eat when they're stressed out, and that is their comfort. And they binge eat, they're under a lot of stress. Next thing you know, they've gained 10 or 15 pounds in a month's time because they're binge eating. And their blood sugars are out of control because they're binge eating and they're diabetic. But these are
Yeah.
all things that we really need to address. And the first person, the first line, the gatekeeper that you can discuss these with, your primary care physician. So there's a common theme by which I'm trying to drive home during
Yes.
our little discussion here is you need to establish a relationship with your primary care doctor, one that you can pick up that phone, call the office, have a conversation that you're comfortable with, get an appointment to see them, and be able to discuss and figure out what is best for you as far as a treatment approach.
And what about you, Renix? Now that you're, I'm going to say stable, your stress level is down and you're able to verbalize what's going on with you?
Yes, I don't let anything bother me at all because I don't want that blood pressure to go up in no way whatsoever. So
Okay.
I tried a lot of stuff that would have ticked me off before. Right now, I just let it go straight over my head, straight over my head. You
Well,
know,
just as long as you're not taking it on, because I need
no,
you
no,
to
no.
be good. Okay.
I don't take on stuff anymore. Like I said, sometimes you have to let it go. Just let it go and just take some deep breaths.
Okay. Well, you're right. It does
Yes,
feel better. So,
yes.
so both of you, so Renix, I know that you've been through a whole ordeal, and it is so good that you're able to um, share your story, bring forth knowledge, what happened to you, so you can take us from where you were to where you are right now. Give us some advice as we're getting ready to go home here. Give us some advice as to
Okay.
things that you need to do.
All right. We all know Thanksgiving is coming. Christmas rung the bell. New Year's Eve coming up. You know that's the time West Indians and notice I say West Indian Caribbean people. This is the time when we like to slaughter
Slugs
the dog,
dog.
according to you and Governor
No,
Biden.
according to the governor,
Yeah,
I borrowed it from him.
this is the time we like to slaughter the dog, macaroni and cheese, rice, sauce, pork this and pork that, all kind of different things we enjoy, and a lot of those stuff are highly seasoned stuff. You're gonna see the sorrel, you're gonna see the passion fruit juice, you're gonna see the tamarind juice, you're gonna see the soursop juice. All those stuff are highly sugared juices.
So your
You
advice is to
understand?
stay away from that.
No, not
No.
stay away, but eat and drink those stuff in moderation. That's the key.
Okay.
Moderation. You could still take a sip of some of that, but I mean, don't drink down the whole bottle of sorrel. You know that thing full of sugar. It's only sugar and sorrel and tamarind drink. And a lot of those other drinks are full of sugar. I don't care what they say, including some of the ones that they so called say are
That's good
healthy,
for you.
like sea moss, Yeah, the ones that they say that good for you is full of sugar. Sometime back, I went to a place, I won't call the name, they said they're a veggie restaurant, and I asked the owner, well, what's in this drink? The first word out of her mouth was sugar. I mean, jeez, bread. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, well, this is a veggie place, a health food place, you know? And they telling me the first ingredient in their peanut drink, peanut punch, is sugar. So I think that was the last day I went there when she told me that, because I cannot drink that thing with the sugar in it. I don't use sugar whatsoever. I barely ever use honey, and when I do, I use the local honey from the honey man, you know, the beekeepers here. That's the
Okay.
type of honey I would drink, but I don't do it too often. Once in a very blue moon, I get that I put that in my bush tea. I drink a lot of bush teas. I'll take a lot of herbs and stuff. You gotta balance it with the medication from the doctors. You know, it just can't be all medication a lot. You gotta use your local herbs and stuff also. You know, your
Right.
balsam, your bush tea, your cinnamon, your lemongrass. You know, your elderberry. Just like what
Yes.
Brass Bobby does be telling us to take. You know, your
Right.
there's something called oh, geez, on bread. What's that thing name again? It's called Appalachian Wa- Himalayan Wild Ransom.
Okay.
That
I don't
is
know what that
something.
is.
Yeah, Himalayan Wild Ransom. I'll get back to you with that one. That one is a good one. It's a it helps with your blood
Okay.
flow in your body and stuff. You know, it's a very good supplement that you could put just a little bit in your tea, or
Oh,
you
it's a
put it in your
sweetener.
food. No, it's not a sweetener.
Okay.
It's actually herbs,
Okay.
but you just
I got.
use just a little bit. You pour it, put it in your tea, and it tastes really good. You know, it has like it tastes of just green.
I got you. So, Dr. Comissiong,
Mhm.
through Renix and his home remedies, tell our listening audience your pointers of what needs to be done and to get our men to see their health care providers, because we need our men to be around for more reasons than one. We need them.
Right. So I'll start by saying I almost didn't need to be here tonight because Renix looked like he was doing a heck of a job. Okay, but from the medical perspective, okay, men, you have to realize that we want to be here not just for us. We all definitely want to live as long as we can and have a good quality of life when we are alive. So if I'm gonna live to be 90, I want it to be a quality 90. And if I'm gonna live to be 60, I hope I could get a little more than that, but I want it to be a quality 60 years. I don't want it to be one where somebody has to take care of me, push me around, and so on and so forth. I want to be as independent as I can be and have a good quality of life. That being said, okay, what can we do as men? Okay, again, the one common theme is your primary care doc. You need to see a doctor. Okay, we want to be around not just for us, but we got loved ones, we got significant others, we got children, we got family. Okay, and we want to be around as long as we can to be with those individuals we love, and to do so, we need to take care of ourselves. As men, we do need to take care of ourselves. You know, women definitely have the advantage on us. I think a lot has to do with estrogen because estrogen is more protective as far as with the heart and whatnot, whereas testosterone is less protective. And therefore, we are at a disadvantage. However, outside of that, there's still things that we can do to better take care of ourselves. So, basically, men, there's a schedule you need to follow, just like you do when you have your car. I hope with your car that you drive, you don't wait till it breaks down on smoking before you take it to the mechanic. You need to take it every 3 months to get the oil change. 3 months or 3,000 miles. You definitely don't put 3,000 miles on a car down here in 3 months. So, 3 months' time, you need to take your car to get the oil change. Okay, you need to get the air filter changed, your brakes checked, and so on and so forth. There's a schedule that you follow. And it's the same thing with your body. Your body is a machine as well. Okay, so you have to remember you got to get your prostate checked, age 40. You need to get your wellness checked at least once a year or shorter time period. if you have medical problems. You need to have that good established relationship with your primary care doctor, because the doctor otherwise, when they have you, will have you on that schedule. You don't have to memorize when I'm supposed to do XYZ, because your doctor has that scheduled for you. So what you need to do, the most important thing you need to do is show up to see your doctor.
So, man, the takeaway is your health is your priority, men. Your health is your priority. You have to eat healthy, like Renix and the doctor said. You have to do more than 10 minutes of exercise. I'm going to add in, you have to stay away from smoking. You have to get in to do your screenings. You have to take your medication. Pay attention to your body. You feel something, do something, because we need to have you. Your significant others are depending on you. Your children are depending on you. Your friends are depending on you. You have to depend on yourself. And as the doctor said, you want to live your best full life. You don't want to have to be totally dependent on someone else. Just live your best life. And we want this for you, not just in Movember, but every single day of your life. We want you to have a fruitful and blessed life. Gentlemen, it has just been such an honor to have both of you imparting this information and imparting about talking about men's health and the importance of it and what needs to be done and what needs to be avoided, especially managing stress and paying attention to that. And one thing leads to the other, because one ailment can have a chain reaction to so many other debilitating diseases. So I am just going to say, any more closing remarks or anything else you gentlemen would like to add before we close out this evening?
Well, I would like to add this last piece. I want everyone, not just the men, all Caribbean people, West Indian people, remind that, this is Thanksgiving month. And we do a lot of eating. We eat everything we see on the table. Everything. Some of those stuff are seasoned very highly. Some of the other stuff are very sweet. There's nothing wrong with eating and drinking till your belly busts. But this year, try to do it in moderation.
Do it
You don't,
differently.
you don't have
Yes.
to take the whole half of the turkey and put it on your plate. And you see you got a whole bunch of people in the line behind you. You don't have to do that. You don't have to drink all the sorrel and keep coming back for more with the time and drink all, you know,
I think Sorrel and Tom
moderation.
and Drink are your favorites, or used to
well,
be.
they full of sugar, and I used to drink a lot of sweet stuff. I always like all the sweet things. That's what get me in this position and this predicament, problem, and horror that I'm in right now. And
But you're,
I also,
mhm.
yes, because now I know the right things to do. I know I always keep my, Natalie make sure I keep all my doctor's visit on a timely fashion. I mean, when it comes to the doctor's visit, she don't play. I mean, I gotta get ready. I gotta go. Everything
Yay,
is in a great order.
Natalie.
You're not, you're not. I'm not missing that doctor's appointment, and I'm not walking in late. You know, and I need to also thank. I have some people that I gotta give thanks to, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. The Snyder Regional Medical Center team of nurses that they got up there, I mean, they really do their best. I can tell anybody they really do their best at that with what they have, and they're very friendly and they were very nice to me. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have made it through this whole ordeal. I gotta thank also Dr. Comissiong, Dr. Frank Odlum. I gotta thank Dr. Reva Richardson. I gotta thank Dr. Bashan. I gotta thank Dr. Les, because he was the one who diagnosed and found out what my problem was from the jet beginning. I gotta thank Dr. Jones up on the hill, up on Rappoon Hill up there. I gotta thank especially also, I cannot forget, Dr. Stewart and Dr. Rosen from Pleasant Ophthalmology and all those nice ladies he got in there, because if it wasn't for them, I wasn't going to be seeing anything at all. And, I really got to give them a big hand because they're the ones who have me able to see right now. As you can see, this eye is the one that's shut. This one, I could see a little bit out of this one, but I could see. I could see enough. And I appreciate them so much. I go and I get the injection in my eye. Have you ever got an injection in your eye?
No.
Well, you don't want to see what it's like. And they told me I'm one of their bravest patients, believe it or not. And I'm a coward. And then also they gave me I have to get the laser treatment in my eyes. Have you ever got the laser treatment in your eyes?
No, I just refer to my cute glasses because I don't like to wear glasses, so I decided to make mine really cute. That's as far as I'll go.
Well, I must thank the eye. That's nice. But I must thank those two, Dr. Rosen and Dr. Stewart from Pleasant Ophthalmology. Without them, I wouldn't be able to see your pretty face tonight or anything at all. And I must tell all the people who I thank you. Also, I must thank Sandra Dunsing from the Dunsing Law Firm because she set up this while I was in the hospital, she set up this GoFundMe page for me without me knowing anything about it. And I could tell you the entire community and the world, people who knows me and saw that, I mean, everyone just came out to support me, and it was just overwhelming. Some days I got two phones to my ears. People want to know my address to send contributions and stuff. I mean, I'm really thankful and grateful to everyone, and I want it to be known right now. Family and friends that came out and supported me, I really, really appreciate and love all of you. Thank you very much, everyone.
And your sweetheart.
Natalie is my night nurse, my day nurse, my chef, my everything, my caretaker. I don't know what would have happened if she wasn't around. She's one of a kind, I must say.
Well, I am so glad that you're doing well, Renix. I'm glad that you came and you shared your testimony and your story. Like Dr. Comissiong said, you brought so much value to this interview because when someone hears what someone went through, what they're going through, they see the importance of taking care of themselves, knowing their numbers, getting enough sleep, paying attention to your body. And I just can't thank you, gentlemen, enough. Dr. Comissiong, we're going to close out with you.
Okay. I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me on. Definitely was, insightful for me as well. Hearing Renex give your testimony, that definitely was, in my eyes, if it's not a good wake up call for folks, men and women in the community, that we need to really hone in on ourselves and really pay attention to ourselves and to make that first step and have that good relationship with a doctor. Folks, we only have one life to live. You know, it's been a difficult enough life alone before 2020 came. As far as with COVID, life was already tough, and now we have another, another wrench in the gears, pretty much per se. And so we really need to take care of ourselves. We need to be careful. We need to protect ourselves. We need to still mask up, and those who believe in getting vaccinated, and even those that don't, we need to really put that into consideration. I know that's a whole other 2 hour show that we can sit down and start talking about. But definitely something we need to consider because it's proven to have been very effective. But I would leave it at that as far as a COVID discussion. But everyone, please take care of yourselves, see your doctors. Please pay attention to your bodies, eat properly, exercise. Definitely no smoking. This generation right now, my generation and younger, are going to be the ones that more affected with smoking. The little older generations, they hardly anyone did. But now, as we come into the younger generation, it's becoming a lot more common, and we'll start to see effects from that in some years to come. So that's coming. Okay, but please, everyone, thank you for having me. I hope we were able to impart some knowledge to you. And any questions, please, you feel free. You can call the office 777-8599. But more importantly, if you have a relationship with your primary care doc, go ahead and continue to establish that relationship and ask questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Comissiong. Men, we love you. Continue taking care of yourselves. Be true to yourselves. Be good to yourselves on purpose. Be good to yourselves on purpose. Not just in the month of November as we celebrate Movember, because we have so much to be thankful for. So celebrate yourselves, celebrate each other. We'll see you again on November 21st for our next show. Thank you so much for joining us in our kickoff of season 2 of Let's Talk About You. God bless you. Stay blessed on purpose.
All right.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye.